Okay, we're going to go ahead and kick this off. Thanks everybody for coming back. I'm excited to see so many faces here ready to work on stuff. Just to kick things off, something we've been doing at recent IndieWebCamps is having folks kind of make a commitment to something that you're going to work on. So similar to what we did yesterday for sessions, we've got these giant pads. You have plenty of space if you need to write a lot, but I encourage you to write a little. Just drop your name on there, and I would encourage you to pick 2 projects. In the past, we've had a lot of success where folks pick something that's like a quick win. So it's like, I'm going to finally register that domain that I don't have, or like, I'm going to put an H card on my homepage, or I'm going to get that cool font that I like. And then also pick a more ambitious project. So if you're like, I want to work on a community tool that lets you write assembly and generates microformats. Cool. You know, it's a hack day, not a month. So yeah, so try to scope things that you can do in one day. Definitely put an easy thing on there so you'll feel good and accomplished, and you can do that first, or you can save it for the end when you're panicked and your big thing didn't work out. If you see things that are up here that look very similar to what you want to work on that someone else is doing, go meet with that person. You can help each other out, maybe even work on the same thing together. We will start lunch negotiations around 11:30. With this many folks, we'll probably just get a couple pizzas or something.
Why are they in negotiation?
You'll find out. It always is. Anything else?
It's always a tense standoff.
That's it to get started, right?
Yeah. We'll do time check close to 4.
Yeah, we'll do time check at 3, and again, like progressively more as we get close to demo time. Demos will be at 4, and we'll have a similar setup to yesterday, so people can plug in and show off what they've done, and those will also be streamed, and eventually they'll go on the IndieWebCamp YouTube and on the wiki. And if you haven't already, there's more food today. Thank you, Amy, for refreshing our craft services. There's fruit bagels from yesterday, which kept surprisingly well. Very good. There's fresh coffee. I know it looks just like yesterday's, but we didn't leave it here overnight. And sodas and stuff like that, too.
Almond milk.
And there's almond milk. Thanks to David. Thank you for bringing
I
that.
also brought the soda.
Yes. Thanks for that, too.
Please drink it, because I'm not hauling it back.
Yes. Please eat it all and drink it all. I think that's it. If you have any questions about the event or the space, feel free to ask me or Jonathan. If you have any questions about the IndieWeb, ask Aaron or Gregor or David, especially if it's WordPress, ask David. Yeah, so these pads are up here. Please come add yourself and your projects.
And announce what you're going to do, right?
Yeah, as you put it up,
yeah.
Let people know. That way we kind of time box it. So like, let's do it over the course of the next few minutes.
Can you pass out these pads? Do you have those there?
Good, yeah. Color matter today? No. Blue and yellow. Oh, let's do it. What?
I was.
I took them all and then...
We both have to write the exact same thing.
Colors mean... That's what I did. Where does it? That was in mine at my first center.
Yeah, I guess I'm not in the Slack on my phone. I didn't see that.
Oh. I've done that too, where I have like a I was like...
My short project is to fix Unicode on my database.
That's your short project? I'm not Gregor, I'm sorry. I'm just scared for you.
No, it's easy.
Famous last words.
MySQL has like 2 Unicodes. There's UTF-8, which isn't full UTF-8, and there's UTF-8 multibyte 4.
Yeah.
So I have UTF-8. I just need to upgrade it to multibyte 4 so I can accept your emoji responses.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So that's what this hopefully should be easy. I'll offline posting, and or if Eddie gets here and convinces me, I'll work on reposting it.
Eddie sent his apology.
Oh,
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, family thing coming up.
okay.
He's hoping for a future time.
Yay. Thanks, Gregor. Good start.
Howdy.
Alright, I'm gonna be quick and out. I'm adding an H card. I'm adding an H card to my website
Nice.
and maybe
Fix the time zone. Internet times, watch numbers. 1,000 beats per second.
you know. You recognize.
They call it, what do they call it, internet time? It was 1,000 beats per day. Time zone started at watches. Midnight there was 0.
I think
So
you'll be very
I need help
interested.
with full page screenshots. That's like a quick thing. I just want to discuss ideas.
Super.
I don't want to actually build it. I just want to get think frames, I think.
Oh, cool.
And help David work on the interface for Simple Locator. It's kind of a quick project. And then improve micro formats to work
Location.
plugin locations.
Simple locator would be really useful, I think.
It's another plugin name I was looking at. Anyway.
My problem is that simple location keeps getting progressively less simple.
Yeah. Add more stuff.
My two projects are I'm going to make a tutorial outline for building a microweb server based on the thing you did yesterday, and also one for a token endpoint, which was the next step that we didn't have time for during yesterday. And then my other thing is I want to restore my little pixel art grid that I had on my webpage 10 years ago. It was like a collaborative art. You could like change pixels and everybody else would see what you made. So I'm going to put that back on my homepage because it was kind of cool.
Got mine. Short project is to set up a Git local environment for my WordPress site. It's been bothering me that I haven't done that yet. And my ambitious project is to look at the feedback, ideas, and notes from our session yesterday about activities and just generate some activities or projects or like at least an outline to start pulling some of that content together. And then depending on how that goes, start a first activity that Marty and I can possibly do in like 2 weeks. So
Nice.
I haven't done a website for a while, so mine is going to be my younger sister has pop-up dinners like in South Carolina, so I was just going to try to do a static website for her.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's really fun.
She doesn't know about it yet. Well, I kind of told her, but I'm like, I'm just going to lay it out and work from there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Who didn't go yet? That wasn't me.
Still plenty of pads of it.
Ooh, Crayola.
I want to finish implementing the micropub tutorial thing that Aaron demonstrated yesterday, because I was fun on glitch.com, which is a free web host. Oh, bear with me. It's a site for developing simple apps and sharing them and remixing. So as a learning tool, it's an interesting place to present a simple bit of code and let other people take it and download it. And more ambitious is dog fooding it, so downloading it and hosting a Node.js app on my personal domain and micropubbing at it.
Nice.
Is micropubbing a verb we're using? I'm not criticizing it, I'm just asking, has that come into the nomenclature yet?
TM.
No, micropubbing sounds like an interesting one, I was just asking.
Yeah.
After you.
So the two things that I'm going to work on, they both involve parsing HTML. The first one is, since I'm using Markdown for my static site generator, and I want to be able to selectively modify the results of that. And so that's going to involve post-processing the HTML, converting it into a hierarchical language structure, and then generating the HTML from that again. And so that will allow me to do things like rel equals me only on the top page of my site instead of every page. And then after that, write a web mention sender.
Cool.
So that's a program that you give it a URL of the source page, it fetches the page, parses the HTML, pulls the microformats out, figures out the target, grabs that, figures out the web mention endpoint, and then sends the HTTP request to send the web mention.
There's no particular place it has to be.
I'm trying to make it not too adjacent to another orange.
Okay, we're trying to color.
Graph color.
Okay, I just picked green because I didn't think there was enough green up there. So my short project is to finish the token endpoint that I finished sort of up last night while sitting in the room sniffling instead of going out. And since there's a second part to that, make Aaron check it for me. Because
Is that your ambitious project?
no, that's the non-ambitious one. Because since I have a tendency to publish things that are used by other people, I worry about opening up everybody's WordPress installation to me making a minor mistake. And since I finished that, and the next project will probably be the authorization endpoint, let's see how far I can get with that. And, now, what we need is at least one more green here and here. We can have like go bingo with the postage card or postage stamp.
You're gonna ruin your plan. No. Okay, so fine. Let's figure this out. Very exciting. Look, grid. Okay. So I'm going to start with a very simple. My easy task is just one that will be emotionally difficult. A domain cage match to get rid of some ones I really am never going to use. But the survivor of this cage match, I will make a Hugo site and prevent myself from being too obsessive over the planning and just get the thing up and be using it.
Nice.
And then I'm going to chase some of the Saturday leads related to the transcription and video coding stuff. There is no clear in task here, so probably that will consume the rest of my day, but be very exciting. But I do have the opportunity to scrape some other leads from yesterday and harass all of you attending here for wisdom and leadership on where I should go.
Awesome. Instead of picking an easy and a hard thing, I picked two medium-sized things, which may be terrible. At the audio session yesterday, I talked about some of the tools that I use to take short audio snippets and a written transcript and create a video. And I've been using a super hacked up version of this software that the BBC made and released that was like incredibly tied to their infrastructure, and so I hacked it up to basically like remove all of those dead vines that don't connect to their stuff that I don't have access to. But there are several chunks that are still really gross, and I would like to fix specifically the one related to taking a text transcript that has been aligned so that it has timestamps with the free and open source tool called Gentle, and like pushing that into their system. And I think if I did that, I could take what I have and release it, and other people could also run it. Until that, like it's garbage, and like I don't even know how I use it. Next, if depending on how that goes, I would also like to make a really simple service that seems like it does nothing except combine two IndieWeb jargon terms. But I want to make a small web service that you log into with IndieAuth, so using your domain, and then it will let you, using WebSub, it will subscribe to sites that like publish with WebSub. And this is actually the start of a handful of different services that I want to make for my site, but other people that have static sites could make use of them as well, where when a new post goes up on my site triggers a WebSub notification, so any subscribers get notified. And then this service, I think the first one I would make, I kind of want a bunch of microservices, and the first one I would make would like send web mentions. So actually, like kind of similar to what Josh is working on. And so it's like when a new post goes up, this service would be responsible for saying like, do I need to notify anyone? Going much further forward, I would like one that like automatically syndicates, so I could like put up a post on my site, and then when notified that it exists, this service would say like, do you want it copied to Twitter? Okay, I'll do that for you, and then like update the syndication links. So the very first step is to make a do nothing thing that you can log into, and it will say, yes, a new post appeared. That's it. Anybody not gone? Needs pads or markers? I think that's everybody.